Betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from those closest to you. And sometimes, the truth is too painful to accept. Imagine discovering the darkest secret of your life in the most unexpected way. This is the true story of a man whose entire world shattered, all because of a simple massage from his son. Act 1. The setup. It all started like any other day. I had just gotten home from work, exhausted, feeling the weight of life on my shoulders. My son, a kind and caring young man, noticed my stress and offered to help. "Dad, you seem tired. Want a quick massage?" he asked. Of course I agreed. After all, what harm could there be? A moment of relaxation, or so I thought. Act 2. The discovery. As he pressed his hands into my shoulders, he casually mentioned something that made my heart stop. "You know, Mom always says your muscles are tighter than Uncle Mark's when she massages him." My mind went blank. My breathing stopped. Uncle Mark, my wife, massaging him. I tried to act normal, not wanting to alert my son, but inside, my world was crumbling. My wife, the woman I devoted my life to, had been touching another man the same way she touched me, or worse. Act 3. The confrontation. That night, I waited. My wife walked in, smiling like nothing had happened, but I had a question. A single question that would determine everything. "How's Mark?" I asked casually. The moment our eyes met, I saw it. The hesitation, the flicker of panic. She stuttered, then forced a laugh. "Why do you ask?" That was all I needed to know. Act 4. The stoic realization. At that moment, I had two choices: break down, lose myself in anger, or embrace the philosophy of the Stoics. I remembered the words of Marcus Aurelius. "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I simply said, "I know." And I walked away, reclaiming my peace, my dignity. Because sometimes, the best revenge is silence. Life will test you. People will betray you. But how you react defines you. The weak let emotions control them. The strong embrace wisdom. If you've ever been through something like this, comment below. Let's talk. And remember, never let anyone steal your peace. Betrayal is like a shadow. It hides in the places you least expect. And sometimes, the truth is so painful that your entire reality shatters in an instant. This is not just a story. This is a lesson. A lesson about trust, betrayal, and the power of stoicism when faced with life's darkest moments. What I discovered that day changed me forever. And it all started with my son massaging my shoulders. Act. A normal day turned strange. It was just another evening. I had been working all day. My body felt stiff, my mind exhausted. My son, noticing my discomfort, smiled and said, "Dad, you need to relax. Let me help you out." I thought nothing of it. A kind gesture from my own flesh and blood. I sat down, closed my eyes, and let him work on my shoulders. The tension started to melt away, until he spoke the words that sent chills down my spine. "Mom does this for Uncle Mark all the time. She says his muscles aren't as tight as yours." Uncle Mark, my wife, massaging him. My brain went blank. My pulse quickened. At first, I thought maybe it was innocent. Maybe I was overthinking. But deep inside, something felt off. The seed of doubt. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. My son's words echoed in my mind like a never-ending drum. Why would she be massaging another man? Why would she compare me to him? Why did my gut twist every time I thought about it? I knew I needed to find the truth. But a wise man does not act in haste. A wise man observes, waits, and lets the truth reveal itself. So I did nothing. At first, the truth comes out. The next morning, I studied her. The way she moved, the way she spoke. I asked her, casually, "Hey, how's Mark doing?" It was quick, so quick that most men wouldn't catch it. But I did. The flicker of hesitation, the nervous swallow, the way she avoided my eyes. She recovered fast, too fast. "Oh, he's fine. Why do you ask?" she said with a forced smile. That's when I knew. A woman's eyes can lie, but her body never does. The silent confrontation. Most men in my position would explode. They'd demand answers. They'd scream, accuse, cry. But I remembered the wisdom of the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So I looked at her and simply said, "I know." She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out, because deep down, she knew that I knew. And that's when I did the most powerful thing a man can do in the face of betrayal. I stood up, and I walked away. The power of stoic strength. You see, most people think that revenge is power, that screaming, fighting, and begging will change things. But true power, true control, is walking the way with your dignity intact. I didn't let her break me. I didn't let my emotions take over. I simply let the truth sit in the air like a loaded gun, and let her deal with the weight of her own guilt. From that day forward, I focused on myself, my peace, my strength. And let me tell you something. Nothing destroys a betrayer more than knowing they lost someone who refused to lose themselves. Men, listen carefully. Women will test you. Life will test you. And when betrayal comes knocking, you have two choices: become a slave to your emotions, or master them like a true stoic. The choice is yours. A normal evening turns sinister. It had been a long day. Work had drained me. My mind felt like it was drowning in responsibilities. My son, always an observant kid, walked in and noticed. "Dad, you look tense. Want me to help? Mom does this for Uncle Mark all the time. She says it helps loosen him up." What? I felt my stomach drop. My skin went cold. I turned my head slightly, trying to act normal, but inside, my heart was pounding like a war drum. "She massages Uncle Mark?" I asked, my voice carefully controlled. My son, innocent and unaware of the storm brewing inside me, simply nodded. "Yeah, she always says he gets really stiff after work." At that moment, a seed was planted in my mind. A seed of doubt, a whisper in my ear, telling me that something wasn't right. I forced a smile, patted my son on the back, and said nothing more. But my mind was already preparing for war. The suspicion grows. I replayed the words over and over in my head. Mom does this for Uncle Mark all the time. She says it helps loosen him up. I told myself I was overthinking, that maybe it was nothing. But a man's gut never lies. And my gut was screaming. The next day, I did something different. I watched. I listened. I paid attention to the things I had ignored before. The way my wife smiled at her phone. The way she laughed at his texts. The way she spoke about Mark, too casually, too often. And then I asked a single question. "How's Mark doing?" She hesitated, swallowed, and then she laughed nervously. "Why do you ask?" That was it. That was the confirmation I needed. Act. The silent revelation. Scene fades to me sitting in silence, staring out of a window. Slow, heavy music plays. I could have yelled. I could have confronted her. I could have demanded answers. But then I remembered the words of Marcus Aurelius. If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, but no one can force my peace from me. I realized then, this was not just about her. This was about me, my reaction, my composure, my power. So I made a decision. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. That evening, I sat across from her at the dinner table, looked her in the eyes, and said only 2 words. "I know." She opened her mouth to speak, But no words came out, and that silence spoke louder than any confession ever could. Act the ultimate power move. Most men in my position would scream, beg, fight. But I did something stronger. I chose peace. I chose control. Without a word, I picked up my bag, walked to the door, and turned one last time. She was sitting there, frozen, hands shaking. "What are you doing?" she whispered. I smiled, a small, knowing smile, and I repeated, "I know." And then I walked out, without anger, without chaos, without giving her the power to see me crumble. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge is to show them that they never had power over you to begin with. Act the stoic lesson. Men, remember this. The greatest strength is in your mind, not in your fists, not in your words, in your ability to remain unshaken in the face of betrayal. A woman's greatest weapon is your reaction. If you beg, you lose. If you cry, you lose. If you break down, she wins. But if you walk away, composed, with your dignity intact, she will remember that for the rest of her life. So if life ever puts you in my position, remember this. Do not chase. Do not fight. Do not explain. Just look them in the eye and say, "I know." Have you ever been betrayed? Have you ever faced a moment where you had to choose between losing yourself and walking away stronger? Share your story in the comments. Let's talk. And if you want more lessons on strength, wisdom, and the art of true masculinity, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because here, we don't break, we rise.